Hey, what's up everybody? This is Browncoat67 and today I'm going to show you how to build Hawkeyes Bow in Minecraft. This is done in Bedrock Edition using command blocks, and as you can see it allows you to switch the bow type that you're using. For example, this is a lightning arrow. Ooh, insta-kill. Fire arrow. Burn! Ice arrow, which actually slows down mobs and creates ice. My son's personal favorite, the grapple bow. Yeah. You can use this to launch yourself into the air, and then it gives you some slow falling where you can aim where you want to go. You can fly. The explosive bow is definitely the most destructive. Oh yeah. But even the standard arrows that you shoot out of it, one hit kill most mobs. It does 15 damage. Alright, I'm going to show you what's actually happening as I switch between these, and then I'm going to teach you how to build it yourself. So I have a snowball here which turns into an entity when thrown. So I actually check for it, and I have commands that will use structure blocks to load in command blocks that I've already built. This one right now is for the lightning bow. I switch it, it's the fire bow. Now the ice bow. Now it's the grapple bow. Now it's the explosive bow. So as I throw the snowball, it will cycle through all the different builds that I have saved in structure blocks. Some of you are asking, what am I talking about? Well, let me show you. Go ahead and put the command in, give @p structure_block. Once you do that, you're going to get this weird looking square block that looks like it might be something out of Minecraft Star Wars. You're going to want to use that same command again, only this time for command_block to give ourselves a command block. You're also going to want to make sure that you grab redstone repeater and a redstone comparator. Alright, so right here I have built the first bow type. This is the fire bow. The first command block here is going to have a simple test4 command. So you're just going to do /test4 @E, which means all entities. Then you're going to use square brackets with type equals arrow. That means that you're looking for any arrow. Now with that test4 command, the block is going to be set to repeat and always active. That means that it's always going to be looking for an arrow. You're going to run that into a comparator, and then a couple repeaters here. I do this because it allows you to control the time between when you shoot the arrow and when the effects happen. I like to max out one of my repeaters and leave the other one alone, but it's totally up to you. You can also delay ticks inside the command blocks, but for some people, repeaters are easier to use. Inside the next command block is going to be an execute command. So we're looking at execute @E type equals arrow. That is basically the same thing as that test4 command that we already have, but this is going to allow us to run another command at that location. That's why you see those 3 tildes right there. Then we're going to run a fill command. We're going to do tilde space tilde 1. No space between the tilde and the 1. This is going to put the fire 1 block above where the arrow lands, the block that the arrow sticks in. When the arrow sticks into a block, it actually marks itself at the position of the block. So by putting that fire above it, you're putting the fire on the block directly where the arrow is hitting. Then you're going to do space tilde, space tilde, space tilde, space tilde, space, fire 0 destroy. This is going to destroy the block right above where the arrow hits. So let's say you hit the side of a tree. It's going to break the leaves right above it and catch the space on fire that the arrow is sticking in. That way, it will always burn if it's not raining or wet. This command block is just going to be impulse, needs redstone, just like the next one. There is one repeater here in between. I did not delay this repeater at all. Now the last one here is just going to be a kill command, but it's @E, square brackets, type equals arrow, kind of like those test4 commands. This is going to get rid of that arrow as soon as we're done with it. So as soon as it catches everything on fire, the arrow's gone. That way it doesn't continuously respawn since we're using a repetitive block in the first one as a sensor. So now that we have this built, how do we save it into a structure block? Well, let's get that structure block. So we're going to put this right here in front of the first command block. Right away, you're going to see this box. That is actually what the structure block is going to save, and we can define that better. So we're going to go ahead and right click in here. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my X value to, let's say, probably 6. I'm going to set the Y to 1. I'm going to set the Z to 1. I'm going to set the Y offset over here to 0. And then I'm going to add 1 offset on the X. That way it's just getting the command blocks. But it looks like I need to add 1 more. I don't have that second command block. So I'm going to make this a 7. And you can play around with this and then step back out and look at it so that you know what you're doing. I love this here because it lets you see exactly what's going on. So now I have all the command blocks, the comparator and the repeaters, in that box. So this one was the fire bow. So I'm going to save it as fire_bow. I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to put it as save to disk. As far as I can tell, saving it to disk will allow you to pull this up in other games. Saving it to memory just allows it to work within this world. If you notice I'm getting brighter and darker, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a little sunlight. I'm in Michigan. We haven't had much sunlight lately, and I'm trying to get as much as I can, so I'm sitting by the window. All right, so now that is saved. I can put down a structure block here. Go to load. Type in fire_bow just like I saved it. And I'm going to raise that offset back up to 0. And then I'm going to hit load. Bam. And look, it pulled out the exact same thing that we just created. So now we can go ahead and destroy these. We're done with building our fire bow. Alright, so now we're going to work on our ice bow. So the first one is going to be exactly the same as the last setup. It's going to be another test 4 at E type equals arrow command block, set for repeats and always active. Going to run a comparator. 1 repeater that's maxed out, and then a regular repeater. Again, you can change that as much as you want. That just puts the delay between when you shoot the arrow and when the effects happen. For the second command block here, again, we're going to use an execute command and a fill command, just like with the fire arrow. So execute at E type equals arrow, tilde, 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 fill. You're going to want to pay attention and put this exactly like I say it, because if you mess this up at all, your ice is going to spawn into the world in weird ways. Tilde 1, space. Tilde -1, space. Tilde 1, space. Tilde -1, space. Tilde -1, space. Tilde -1, space. Ice, space 0, space destroy. This is going to spawn ice in around the block that the arrow hits, as well as that block and beneath it. And it's also going to destroy the blocks that were there. So if there's any ore or rock or dirt, all that's going to be available for you to pick up. Then we got another repeater here. This one is not ticked. Jumping into the next command block, and we have another execute command. Execute at E type equals arrow, and those are going to be in the square brackets there. Tilde, tilde, tilde here. The next part is an effect command. We're going to do at E radius equals 5. So if there's any entity within a radius of 5 blocks of where this arrow hits, they're going to get slowness for 10 seconds. It's only slowness 2, but it's going to be for 10 seconds. So this is going to simulate the frost buildup on the outside of the mobs, including yourself, if you're too close to this where you can't move at full speed. You take like reduced speed. Then there's going to be another repeater. It's not ticked. And then the last command block again is going to be a kill command for at E type equals arrow. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here again and save this. Don't fall off cliffs. Alright, so pretend that didn't happen. I'm going to go to, save. And again, I'm going to set this for probably 8 this time, or 9. I think this one's a little bit longer than the last one. I'm going to set this one to 1. And I'm going to set the Z to 1. I'm going to change the offset over here to 0. And then I'm going to do an offset of 1 on the X. So now I get rid of the structure block. I'm not going to save that. And I get the entire command block line. Again, hop out, double check, make sure you got everything contained. We're going to save this to disk. And this is Ice Bow. Go ahead and we're going to click save. Alright, so this one is the lightning bow. I've got the structure block all set up and ready to save for it, and I'm just going to go through and show you the commands, and then we'll get that saved. So the first one, starting off just like normal, is going to be the test 4 commands. Again, at E type equals arrow, repetitive, it's going to be repeat block, and always active. So, comparator, that is a full ticked repeater, and then an unticked repeater. Now we're hopping into the first command block. So this one is a little bit more complicated. This is a triple command. We're going to run an execute at E type equals arrow. Then we're going to do the 3 tildes, which is at the location of the arrow. and slash execute at E, R equals 3, comma, name equals, and then you're going to do an exclamation point and put in your name here. This is going to exclude you so that you're not hit by lightning, okay? So make sure you put your username in, not mine. I'm going to close off that square bracket there. You're going to do the 3 tildes again, and then we're going to do slash summon lightning bolt. So what this is going to do is, at the arrow's location, any entity within 3 blocks, except for ourselves, is going to get hit by a bolt of lightning. Even the arrow itself. So if you shoot an arrow and miss and there's nothing around it, the lightning still comes down and hit the arrow. You can actually use this to shoot an arrow into the sky and have it work like a signal of some sort, like a flare. And then as always, we got another repeater here that's not ticked. Kill at E, type equals arrow. So this was the lightning bow. We're going to hop right in, and we're going to save it as lightning bow. And again, make sure you save that to disk. Alright, now we're going to set up the explosive bow. So again, first command block is going to be repeat, always active, test 4 at E, type equals arrow with the square brackets. We're going to do the comparator, same thing, we're going to have a fully loaded repeater, and then a repeater that's not ticked at all. Now the first command block here is going to be an execute command at E, type equals arrow, and then you're going to do tilde, tilde, tilde. Now, we're getting to the fun part. You're going to summon a TNT minecart, and there's a reason for this. We're going to do the tildes again for the local area, but you're going to do Minecraft : on _ instant _ prime. Now, with the TNT minecart, when you instant prime it, it blows up immediately. There's no timer on it, unlike the TNT. So when you shoot this, it spawns this in and boom, it explodes immediately. You might catch a glimpse of it now and then, but totally worth it. This is the most destructive arrow ever. Well, I could probably make more destructive arrows, but that's for another video. And then we're going to have the repeater with no clicks and the kill command arrow that kills the arrow. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and call this one the explosive bow. And make sure that it's all wrapped up within those lines, and we're going to give that a save. Alright, so now we're going to do the teleport bow. Pay attention because this one is a little different than all the rest. Our first command block here is going to be an execute command at E, type equals arrow, square brackets of course, with the 3 tildes. Now you're going to do TP space, your username, not mine, put yours in, and then you're going to do space tilde, -1, space tilde 1, space tilde. What this is going to do is every game tick, when there's an arrow, it's going to teleport you to the position of the arrow facing the same way the arrow is, but it's going to put you behind the arrow and offset a little bit so that you don't impale yourself accidentally. Early versions of this bow required a lot of aggravation and death screens. Then we're going to run a comparator and repeater with no clicks on it, very different. And then we're going to kill the arrow in the second command block. /kill at E, square brackets, type equals arrow. This is going to be a repeater with no clicks. And then the last one in here is actually going to be an effect command where you give yourself, make sure you don't put my name in there, put yours in, but you're going to give yourself the effect of slow falling for 5 seconds at level 1. This is going to give you that moment in the air where you're kind of gliding. It's, to me, it's kind of like wearing a glide suit and then going up and jumping out of an airplane, how you can control your descent. And then you use the arrow to launch yourself even further. Literally, you fly. It's the best thing to happen to Minecraft for, you know, like a while, at least. I don't know, the Warden's pretty cool. That's pretty recent. Alright, make sure you have everything bound up, and then we're going to save that as teleport_bow. Alright, so now we have all the individual powers set up and saved. Go ahead and get rid of them all. You don't want any of those hanging around. We're going to be summoning those in individually as we cycle through our different types of arrows. Alright, so now we're going to create a scoreboard. So you're going to go ahead and not in a command block, just in the chat. You're going to enter in /scoreboard, space objectives, space add, space arrow select. Now don't put a space between arrow and select. This is going to be the actual name of the score, the objective. And then after that, do space dummy. And no, I'm not calling you an insult. This just means that it's a variable that I'm going to control. I get to define it. Then in the chat again, you're going to want to go ahead and do /scoreboard, players, sets, and then your username, and then arrow select 0. This is going to take that variable and set it to 0. So now we're going to build several command blocks, as you can see, that are going to be permanent. I recommend putting them somewhere that you can encase them in stone, And we're also going to load this area as a chunk loader. So we're going to force this area to stay loaded by doing a ticking area command. So we're going to do slash ticking area with no space, space add, space circle. This means that it's going to go out in a circle from where we are. So stand in the middle of where all your commands are going to be. And then you're going to do tilde, space tilde, space tilde, space 2. This is going to make sure that it's 2 chunks from that position. You can only do up to a max of 3, I believe, on Bedrock, but 2 is totally adequate. Then you're going to do space and then save it as a name. I'm saving mine as powers. This is going to keep the area loaded so that you can venture away and still enjoy all these commands. So once you have the ticking area set up and you've got the flat area set up, let's go ahead. We're going to do a repeating command block that's always active. And this is going to test for at E type equals snowball. Then we're going to do a comparator and 1 repeater, no ticks. You want this to be as quick as we can. Now it's going to do scoreboard, players, add, and then your username, arrow select 1. So this is going to add 1 to that scoreboard that we created earlier called arrow select. We set it to 0. So every time I throw a snowball, it's going to add 1 to that. Then there's going to be another repeater that's not ticked, and then a kill command for the snowball. Just like with the arrows, we want to kill this snowball off as soon as we're done with it. Then we're going to do another repeating command block. This one is going to be a scoreboard command that tests that score. So scoreboard, space players, space test, space your username, space arrow select, space 6, space 15. What this is doing is it is checking to make sure that that score is not 6 or higher. Essentially, you can put the 15 up higher if you want, but 15 works for me. The only thing is sometimes in Minecraft, when you go to throw something, you throw more than 1 accidentally, and you can skip higher than number 6. You can get 7 or 8, and I want to catch that. So as soon as you're in that region, this command block is going to power the next repeater. I'm sorry, it's going to power this comparator and then repeater, which runs into this command block. So as soon as the score is higher than 5, it's going to set that score, scoreboard player set, brown coat, I'm sorry, your username, not mine, arrow select 0. So as soon as it gets above 5, it's right back down to 0 again. And then we're going to have a little lonely repeating command block. This one is slash replace item entity. Then it's going to be your username, slots.hotbar, space 1, space snowball. This means that the second spot on your hotbar is always going to have a snowball. So as soon as you throw that snowball, you got another snowball. That way you don't run out of snowballs and you can't switch between your arrows. It is always there in the second space. Put it right next to your bow, and that way you can quickly switch between your arrow types. Alright, so now we're going to get into the fun stuff. This is the actual sensor command setup, which reads what score you're on and then gives you the power for that score. So, first command block here is going to be scoreboard players test, your username, arrow select 0 space 0. So it's looking to make sure that the arrow select score is between 0 and 0, which is 0. Because we're at 0 now, it is in fact powered. It powers the comparator and the repeater. So we go to the next command block. What this is going to do is it's a fill command for air. It's going to replace those coordinates with air, just air. What I'm doing is I'm using that to completely erase any blocks that are sitting on top of the stone. So just go ahead and walk to the farthest corner, get the coordinates over here, and then come over here, get the coordinates from over here, and then put them in with the fill command for air. You're going to do replace on this, that way it doesn't break the blocks and leave them laying around, it just completely gets rid of them. Once it does that, it puts up a title raw, which is a text display, and you're going to want to put your username, action bar, which is going to be right above your hotbar, and then you're going to do the squiggly brackets, or the fancy bracket, and you're going to do quotations, raw text quotations, colon, quotations, text quotations, colon, quotations, standard. And then you're going to do space, bow, quotations, fancy bracket, square bracket, fancy bracket. What this is going to do basically, as you could probably tell, is when this is activated, it's going to put standard bow right above your hotbar. As you notice when I was throwing the snowballs, I kept saying what type of bow it was. That's this command. If you don't want it to say bow and you want it to say arrow, you can go in here and change that. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the next ones. I will let you know these are out of order. When I originally built this, I had a different space set up, and so they're a little bit out of order. But I'm going to try to do the best I can to stay in order. So the next one we're going to do is going to be a scoreboard, players, test, your username, arrow select, and we're going to be looking between 1 and 1. This is going to be a repeating command block, then a comparator, and a repeater. Then we're going to do that same fill command with the exact same coordinates. We're going to completely erase that area. We're going to run into a repeater and then to the next command block. And we're going to use structure load. This is going to load in that structure block that we saved. So we're going to do structure space load space. I did lightning underscore bow. And now I'm going to use the coordinates for, I believe it's like this position right here. This kind of out in front of all these in the open. But mine are running the opposite way I built them, so you'll notice I turned it 90 degrees. If you don't have it built the opposite way, if it's facing the same way, you don't need to have that. That's just how you turn it 90 degrees so that it's not sticking off the edge of your platform, so it fits in your space. So when this one is activated, it's going to load that structure block in. Now it's powered, and bam, it loaded in our lightning bow structure. Then we're going to run a repeater here. And then we're going to do another title raw command, only this time we're going to say lightning bow. It's the exact same command as the standard bow, only we're going to put lightning instead of standard. Alright, so the next repeating command block we're going to set up, we're going to be looking for arrow select between 2 and 2. Comparator, repeater, and then of course we're going to do the fill command again to erase all those blocks that are out there. Repeater, and then we're going to do a command block with the structure load, fire bow at the exact same coordinates as the lightning bow. So you can just replace that lightning with fire and it will load in the next one. So if I throw the snowball, it swapped out the commands for the next one. Then a repeater, and we're going to do another title raw command, and we're going to let you know that the fire bow is what you have. The next one we have set up here is going to be scoreboard players test you arrow select 3-3. So we're looking between 3 and 3. Comparator, repeater, and then this one here is of course the fill command that's going to erase those. Repeater, command block. And this one's going to load the ice bow. Same command, just replace lightning or fire with ice. And then of course I turned mine 90 degrees. And then the title raw command, which is going to let you know that you have the ice bow out, is the last command block. So you see now that a lot of it is the same type of commands just over and over again, but you're changing the title of the bow. So again, I throw my snowball. It replaces my command blocks out there. Alright, next one is going to be the scoreboard test, where we're looking between 4 and 4. So then you got your comparator, your repeater, the fill command that's going to erase the command blocks that are already out there, another repeater, and then this one is going to load the teleport bow. Again, same coordinates, same command, just put teleport. Then you're going to run the repeater into the next command block, which is going to do a title raw for the grapple bow. So I throw my snowball, it changes the command blocks, and it lets me know I have the grapple bow. Alright, the last one we're going to do is scoreboard, players test, your username, and we're going to look for arrow select between 5 and 5. Comparator, repeater, fill command to erase the command blocks. Then you're going to do the repeater, and then we're going to load the explosive bow. The last bow that we have, same coordinates, and then repeater, and then another title raw command, only we're going to let them know it's the explosive bow. So now we throw that snowball, and it changes it to the explosive bow. And that's it. Go ahead and back up, and just kind of throw your snowball, and make sure that it's cycling between the different command blocks. If everything's working properly, you should be able to just seamlessly cycle between these. Walking is so beneath me. This may be faster than actually flying in creative mode. Alright everybody, if you liked this build, check this one out here, which is actually multiplayer. This one's single player, this one is multiplayer, and it will let you have different powers at the same time. So you could go and be like Aquaman or Superman or anything like that. You can pick which powers you want and which powers you don't. Totally customizable. You'll enjoy it.